Let me pull everything up. We are live for the people.
And good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Long time no see.
I know, right?
We only spent 6 hours today together.
I'm telling you, and that was a long 6 hours.
Yeah.
But it was also good. It was really very good. So let's tell people what we're talking about.
Yes.
And then while I pull up the broadcast and send it out to folks that may not have gotten the notification. So our topic tonight is mental health first aid, and
yes, and I was the instructor for the program. So the Community Health Center Buffalo offers free, and I say free training. So we did that today, and it was good. We had a nice group. And yeah, I thought it was very positive. I really enjoyed it, and I think others did too. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And that's okay.
We weren't on last week.
Yeah, we weren't on last week. I took a much needed self-care break, as the saying goes. Well, we both needed it.
I need one every Wednesday, but I can't not show up every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan, for joining us. We are working our way through everything, and today was, I think, it was different because we spent time on Zoom the way we normally do, but we spent it together. So it was a little bit, we've been together all day.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. But I like you.
Yeah, I know, right? Good thing we get along. And yeah, but it was good. It was good.
It really was. It was. So mental health first aid, tell them what it is. It is a free training, but let them know exactly what it is. And we're talking about mental health first aid. I mean, because I took it today and Carl is the instructor, but also because of the significance of what the program is and how it's been modified to meet the needs of people, working still at a distance.
Right. So mental first aid is a nationally known certification program. So think about CPR, but for mental health. And it helps individuals identify the signs and symptoms of mental illness. It raises awareness about mental health. It helps individuals understand what the signs and symptoms are of mental conditions. It helps individuals to learn how to respond in a crisis or non-crisis situation. And it also, reduces stigma. So really, it is a multifaceted program. It has videos. It has, group exercises, all kinds of things. That's all packed into 2 hours of what we call pre-work, which is self-directed, and then the 6-hour training, which is done now virtually. Originally, it was all done in person, 8 hours. So imagine that, Kelly, 8 hours.
Well, I was there. I've taken the 8-hour class twice.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so I didn't need to take it today because I took it, I guess, right before COVID. It was still cold outside. I remember wearing a winter coat.
Yeah.
So I took it last year. Yeah. But I wanted to take it with the folks that I'm working with at UB, and because I knew it had been tailored for COVID, I figured, maybe there's something in there that I didn't know about, or, it'll be set up a little bit differently. But I really, really, really enjoyed the setup. I enjoyed the pre-work. The pre-work was absolutely amazing. Not gonna lie, I was like 2 hours. Really? But it was, I appreciate the focus on self-care and the way that they went about talking about it. Yeah. I recommend anybody take it. And everybody, people in the room were medical professionals, teachers, community members. Like this class is for everyone. Right. One of the nurses that came to class today, when she, signed up, she's like, "Thank you, because this is not something that we really we learn about. And it's like, you're a nurse, right? Or
Yeah,
you're a
well, think about that.
doctor, or you're a teacher. How do we not have time? But there's so much they have to learn to be able to pick out and put together something like this. I don't think you have to come to a class like this.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that it takes it and it breaks it down in a way. It's not an academic training,
No, it's
right? It's
not.
very practical,
Yep.
easy to understand, and it's something that really just gives the tools, right? We keep saying that, but it gives the tools to understand how to help someone. And that's really what it's all about, right? We talk about mental first aid. So if anyone has actually performed CPR, so I've actually performed mental health first aid, you know, on many occasions, since I've been trained. I got really trained in 2014 to be an instructor. So I'm trained in the adult curriculum, I'm trained in the youth curriculum, I'm trained in the teen curriculum, which came out a couple years ago. So, but it's really all about learning how to be that early intervention, which is what mental first aid is. It's an early intervention tool that allows you to basically help someone, because we know that when the intervention is done early, the outcome is typically better. And so we cover, it's called ALGE, the action plan. So we apply it to the different disorders. We apply it to, suicide, substance use, and psychosis. And so all these things that many times are misunderstood to begin with. People don't understand, what these things really are, the facts, as we say. So we apply them to these things and really give a nice overall overview, I guess you could say.
It's technically an overview, right? Because we're only spending 8 hours, on the topic.
Right.
But it really is in depth for the type of training that you receive. I think I learned, well, I don't want to compare programs. I would say, though, that when you finish this program, you're comfortable having very real conversations around mental health.
Right.
If you use it to your advantage, because I can see
Right.
people that maybe just go through the program but aren't active and engaged in the class. But I think we had a really engaged group, and it helps with retention. It helps with comprehension. It helps with understanding. We had a diverse group too, and
Yes.
we were able to talk about culture. And even though it's addressed in the program, I think having the people in the class that we did be able to speak to what was, already, scripted and meant to be presented really helped people understand cultural differences and why they're important. Ministers, there was a pastor. I mean, it was a really great group of folks. So shout out to everybody that was in my class today. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you. And so, as I said, the Community Health Center of Buffalo is offering these trainings. Compeer Buffalo offers these trainings through a grant. So our grant goes through the end of September. I think Compeer might be looking for the next round, but certainly there's opportunity to take it for free, which is great, even better. I'm not sure when it's going back in person. I think a lot of that depends on the protocols of the different organizations that are offering it. I don't really foresee the Community Health Center doing it in person, based on kind of where we're at with the pandemic, and not to mention the space. The space where it was being offered at the center is now being used for COVID vaccination. So I don't think we'd be getting in there. I think the vaccination would be taking a bit of a priority over the training.
But I think the space that is created in Zoom really allows for people to still have real conversations. I think we had more conversations in our class today, and it could be because so many people knew each other, but I don't think that's why. Than I've had in my two prior classes. The first time I took it with a bunch of officers from, I don't know if they were, maybe they might have been troopers. But it was, I think, 4 community members, so me and 3 other non police officer folks. And everyone else was a police officer at the library several years ago. And we were all there. The 4 of us were all there, good morning and introducing ourselves, just, doing stuff that you do in training before it starts. And then in walks these 20 officers. And Carl, they had their guns. And I'm like, oh, if it all goes down, major panic, stress, heart palpitations. My hands were sweaty. I was freaking out because we are in this closed room with 20 officers. There was a detective or plainclothes dude. I don't know what his title was or rank. But he still had his, service.
His piece. He had his piece, his sidearm.
It was wild. And I mean, the thing is, actually, if you go to my timeline, we took a picture at the end of the class because it was the most nerve-wracking experience that I think I've ever had in a work situation. But they were the nicest guys. It's not about nice or not nice. It's about being in a closed room with 20 officers with guns. And we're talking about mental health first aid. Right. And so I was actually able to share with them. So in person, we have to draw what disorder looks like. We ended up drawing me because in my group, I told them how I felt. And they, like, the looks on their faces, they were like, what? Like, that's real. Like, what? They had no clue, no idea. And I'm like, you wouldn't, first of all, because all of these things are happening inside of me. You can't tell I'm ready to throw up, or, like, you don't see that. I feel it, but you don't see it. Right. And so it helped them better understand their presence. And it kind of like you could see the head nods and they were apologetic, but it was, I needed some anxiety medication that day. Didn't have any because I wasn't taking it, but I really could have used some medical assistance by way of medication. It was absolutely wild.
Well, I'm trained. So there's also it's called the public safety curriculum. And so I think on 2 occasions, I've done training with, like you said, with, at the library. I did one with some officers, but also I did 2 trainings at one of the barracks. I think it was out in Clarence for 2 sets of state troopers, which was interesting. And this was the one geared specifically for, law enforcement. And you get a real interesting perspective from their vantage point, and so forth. On a side note, I recently have been doing training for the Town of Tonawanda Police.
I saw that. I didn't know what the training was. I was going to ask you about it, but I did see that.
Yep. So I did, last week, I did 5 mornings in a row from 8 to 9. And then the week after next, I'm doing 5 mornings in a row from 8 to 9. Of course, one of the reasons is COVID protocols. It's in a large room, but still they can only have so many hours. Plus, they have to, they can only have so many people there because they have to obviously have people doing their jobs. Right. But anyway, it's a real eye opener, doing these trainings for that community, because they get a different vantage point than the general public. And as I even said to them, unfortunately, you guys, and I mean guys and women, there's women there too. I said, you all, sometimes you see the worst of the worst, in their line of work, and that definitely has a way of skewing your perspective and dare I say, at some point, some people become jaded, right? And but I was trying to break that down and explain about the concept of simply empathy, and also talk a little bit of my own experience, and just simply trying to make it more humanistic, I
Mm-hmm.
guess you could say, in terms of how it's looked at. And so, I'm hoping that it did what it was expected to do. I got some okay feedback, um, but yeah, and I think, of course, we're in a lot, because so that came out of the Police Reform Act that's going on right now
Okay.
throughout the state. So all these agencies are doing this kind of stuff. But
And so it's not just police officers. We're just talking about two very specific instances
right,
of teaching and being taught
yeah,
mental health first
yeah,
aid.
yeah. So and once again, back to mental first aid, I've taught teachers. I've done youth training. I did a bunch of trainings for the Niagara Falls School District in the past. I've done it for Seneca schools.
And so the youth program, because that came up today, the youth program is not for youth; it's for
Right.
adults that work with youth
Right.
or that deal with youth.
Right.
So that was something that I know. It was an excellent question, because you don't know when you say youth mental health first aid. First thought, I could easily see you thinking it's a training for young people to be able to be trained in first aid and mental health first aid.
Right. So all in all, I've had a very good experience with it as far as being able to share information. I mean, I've trained at this point upwards of about 2,000 people, going on 2,000 people in the 7+ years I've been doing it. So that in itself is pretty cool that and of course, let me just say too, and I won't say where, but I did a training that once was god awful. And it was because of a couple of the participants who were not at all engaged. I mean, I'm talking to the point of where this one young woman literally had her head on the table, and it got to the point. Yes, oh yes, it is. So Maury, you know what? So Kelly, if you could type into the chat my CHCB email address, kshallowhorn@chcb.net. So Maury, you could check out the chat, email me, and I can get you information. The trainings we do are every other week. So we're doing one on May 19th. It might be too late. Well, actually, it may not be too late for that one if you want to join. But we try to do them every other week. And also we need to have at least 5 people to do a training. So that's been, some of our challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with it being virtual and everything. But check it out. So
we had a record day then. 5 folks. We had like 15. Did we have 15? No, we didn't.
We had 15.
Oh.
Yeah, and that included some people who didn't show, who were supposed to. Oh, it's free. It's free, Maury. Yeah, no cost through the grant. So it's even better. It's free. And you get access to all of the information. You get access to electronic materials as well as a certificate. So did you have any problem with the certificate, Kelly? Or did you do it yet?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I had one person had trouble, but then she didn't fully do the evaluation because you have to do the quiz and the evaluation and all that stuff.
Okay. I'll do it.
Yeah. No, it's on you. It's on you to do it.
Oh no, it's not up here. But I mean, I have my one from last year. Oh, so that's the other thing. How long is the?
Well, yeah. So it's supposed to be for 3 years. So it's a 3-year certification, and the way they're doing it is after the 3 years, I believe there's an online. Yes, it's 1 day, Dan. 1 day with 2 hours of pre-work, as we call it, which is self-directed. So in other words, you would do. We give you plenty of time, at least 2 weeks, to do the 2 hours, at your own pace. And then the training itself is on 1 day. And we usually do them on Wednesdays. That's our day that we offer it. Compeer, the other organization, like I said, if you want to just throw in there, Kelly, Compeer Buffalo, CompureBuffalo.org. You can also explore there as well because they offer it, and I'm not sure their schedule.
Or Compure.org?
CompureBuffalo.org.
Bam.
So yeah, I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Good questions.
But it was good. It'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll come back to you.
So
in 3 years.
Oh yeah, 3-year certification. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So
1 year.
Right now, as it stands, the last I heard, well, pre-COVID, after 3 years, you could do an online recertification, which is just more a matter like a tune-up kind of thing, like a brush up on the material.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I say, but as an instructor, I have to do at least 3 trainings a year to remain certified. So, but that's never been a problem for me. I've probably done about 130 trainings, 125, 130 trainings.
Yes, there's a class for youth, and there's a class, all the classes are for adults. There's a class focused on interacting with adults that are experiencing a mental health emergency, crises, and then there is a class for adults that deal with youth that are experiencing a mental health emergency. Did I get that right?
Yep. So Dan, I see you say you're interested. So what you can do, Dan, is if you see my email address there, kshallahorn@chcb.net. Our next training is on May 19th, and I can still get you in if you want that, or then we're looking at June 2nd.
Dan, call me. I'll give you all the answers to the test.
Yeah. We don't have anybody signed up yet for June 2nd, like I said. Okay. It's a rolling admissions, as they say. So we try to fill the classes as they come up. But May 19th, rather, is definitely happening. We have, at this point, I think 7 or 8 people. So it will be happening, and we still are accepting registration for that program. The reason we would give it 2 weeks out is we have to get registered, and you want to give yourself time to do the 2 hours of work. I mean, you could do the 2 hours of work in like one setting if you want. So that's why there's still time to set up.
You know, it never dawned on me to leave and come back. I just sat there and did the 2 hours.
Yeah, technically now, I haven't done it that way because I did the same thing. Because I had to go through the training myself to be an instructor. But from what I understand, yeah, you could stop, step out, so to speak, and then come back and pick up right where you left off. The system recognizes that as long as you don't clear your cookies on your computer, right, all that stuff, you should be good.
Well, I mean, just don't wait until the day it's due.
No.
That's the issue for me. Had I maybe started a little bit earlier.
Well, so the deal is that we ask that you finish the pre-work 2 days prior to the training, because the governing or the overseeing body, so to speak, asks that we clear out all the attendance, stuff like that, just to make sure that people have done it. So we don't have any kind of confusion going into it. So like Kelly, when I reached out to those folks, as you saw, we were able to kind of make sure that the others were aware and they got in on time.
And a big shout out to the University of Buffalo School of Nursing Center for Research, so we're working on the mental health Mellowing Minds app. And I suggested that everybody take the class because it's an outward facing, community based research study. And I mean, I already know that people aren't taught what is needed in day-to-day interactions, like within your profession. Yes, but when it comes to something like this, and we're talking about community mental health, we don't know everyone's background. Let's make sure everybody is on the same page and can be able to spot someone in crisis, be able to offer assistance and information, and also very critical, being able to ask someone, are you thinking of killing yourself?
Right. Which we even practice that.
Yeah.
And so, which is a very First of all, it's a very sensitive time in the training, but also something that, and I like someone said it really well today. They said, um, it's asking a difficult, what did they say? It's like asking a difficult question. Uh, what is it? Remember how she said it, Kelly? How did she say that? She said, a difficult question for a difficult situation or something like that.
Mhm.
A difficult question in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, having asked that question myself in real world, I know it's hard to ask, and I'm trained.
Yeah. And
And
and often, unfortunately, often as I've had to ask that question, it is always a difficult question. But the more you say the words, the easier they come out of your mouth. You really just have to have them come out of your mouth. And this training gives you the opportunity to be able to say the words for the first time. It's one thing to read it, to hear someone else say it, but to actually say the words yourself, you're then in a position, I don't know, it's almost like a breakthrough, right? Like the words have come out and now you know you can say it. You can ask the question,
right.
right? I just think that's so powerful and empowering to
Mhm.
have the folks in the training interact with each other and ask the question, because you don't want to ask, and if you don't, I mean, it's a tough question. It's a
Mhm.
hard answer to wait and hear,
Mhm.
right? What if they say yes? Or what am I supposed to do then? Right. And so this training gives you that information. It gives you that I don't want to say, you know, guide. You have a guide, with algae to be
Mhm.
able to, assess and give it and listen and encourage. And I would also encourage people to take it more than once. Like once you take it, because I took it last year, taking it again this year, even though it was different, I learned more, right? Because that first time, although it was my second time taking it, but it was the first time in that 3-year period, right, that I needed to retake the course. It's different. You learn more. Last year, the big takeaway was asking someone, "How's your heart?" versus saying, "Hey, how are you?" And I now use that all of the time. How's your heart? Because we're so used to that interaction of, "Hey, how you doing?" "Yeah, I'm good," and you keep going.
Right.
Asking someone, "How's your heart?" totally throws people off guard and forces them to stop and think, like, "Wait, what? Huh?" And it lets them know you're actually asking a question they very rarely hear. How are you really doing?
Right.
How are you feeling? Um, and then this time around, with the self care piece that I think is absolutely necessary, but I don't know if all of that is new or if it was touched upon before, but it was so
Yeah.
impactful this time around.
Yeah.
Um, how it was laid out was it was great.
It's new. It's new. So the whole curriculum was totally revamped, because the original really did focus a lot on the disorders,
Hmm.
and applying algae. But this one really, of course, you get the information about the disorders in the pre-work. That's what you learn, that basic information. But the training itself really focuses more on applying algae in those different situations, and then also, like you said, the self-care piece. Um, right. So it's totally different.
I actually, after I did the self care or the pre work, I'm like, what's the training going to be about? Because this looks like everything that I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned everything in these 2 hours that
Yeah.
took me 8 hours before. But
Yeah.
being in class, I was very impressed, thankful. So big shout out to the folks at Mental Health First Aid for adapting the program and revising it in the way it's been done. Good work.
Yes, Victoria, it's all online. So it's all online. And so if you look up on the top of the chat, my email address, kshallahorn@chcb.net, or Compure Buffalo, both the organizations, Community Health Center Buffalo and Compure, offer the training for free. You can, check in with me. As I was saying earlier, we do them every other week. Next training is May 19th. So happy to sign you up if you're available. and we do them on Wednesdays. I know it might be tricky sometimes with the work stuff, but then check with Compeer too. I'm not sure when they offer it. So, and I mean, frankly, I won't go as far as say I don't care where you get it, but the bottom line is it's worth it to take the time for your schedule if you're available to do that. And so whether you get a Compeer, whether you get a community health center, just take the program.
Yeah, Vicki, I think you'll love it, especially with the work that you do. I think you'd love it. And because it is, especially now, it's free, it is a training for employees. It's a training for any and everyone.
Yes.
You don't have to have a special background. It's a lay, I dislike the word lay, but it's a lay training. And you're able to take your head off. You're able to take the title off. You're able to take the, degrees off. You're able to take the fill in the blank off and just be a person in the class receiving a training. Very hands-on, very day-to-day language kind of situation. I like it.
Today we had a PhD. We had someone work on their PhD, I think. We had clergy. What's that?
You had 2 PhDs, Courtney and Tanya.
Yeah.
And then we had 3 PhD, 2 PhD
candidates. Yeah. And then we had some clergy. We had a variety of folks. Like you said, a very well-rounded group that all together made for great training.
It really was. And there was another nurse in there where she was some kind of medical professional. I don't know her. But having Vicki, okay, side note, the in-person class is nothing like the new class. I'm telling you, because I took the in-person class twice. The new format, the new revisions, absolutely amazing. I think you really enjoy it.
And that's the thing. People really said they enjoy the updated version. They of course they went through the revisions and then focus groups and all that stuff. But it's better.
It is. And the more people that are in the room, the greater the perspective.
Yes.
Because people are bringing the information that they have and the knowledge and experience. Like the woman, I can't think of her name, but she mentioned that the symptoms that were being discussed from a mental health perspective, as a medical professional, she saw that same symptoms and her immediate thought was it could be cancer, right? So the fact that the symptoms are what they are, but can mean so many different things really helped to shed a light on how people are coming to the table and how they're dealing with folks.
Right. So that's Mental First Aid. Before we go,
it is 9:03. Can you believe it?
So before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't tell those who are watching that I think I mentioned previously, if you haven't heard, that I have a podcast now, Mental Health Versus. And this past week, I had Kelly as my guest. So it's on Spotify. So if you have Spotify, go to Mental Health Versus, VERSES. If you don't have Spotify, download Spotify and search for it. There's actually 4 episodes now that are up. And check it out. But Kelly, it was fun with Kelly. And we've got a lot of great guests coming down the road. Really pretty cool people that are known locally for mental health and so forth, and even some national figures. So really going to be a great lineup. And Kelly, you've got some news.
I do, Carl. So on May 17th, 2 things are happening in the month of May. But on May 17th, I will be premiering Living the Front Seat Life podcast. So that will be live and direct on whatever platform you guys want to get it on, Apple or wherever. It will be wherever you listen to them at. I'm really excited. I will be able to tell you more because the type of guests that I'm lining up, I don't think anyone has seen before. I'm really, really excited. So that comes out on May 17th. Very excited about that. And so we'll both post this information on, the Real Talk pages. But you can get information on Carl's Shallow Horn Consulting page and on my Front Seat Life page as well. I encourage you guys to like both of those pages and stay, in the know. The other thing, I'm launching a support group for women working in diversity, equity, and inclusion. There is no safe space for women of color to come together and debrief. Right there, we go out and we do this work every day. We are, I'll be honest, berated and disrespected because people don't believe that racism is real, and they question, your identity because you're telling them factual information, and it just, get over it. Slavery's over with. Oh, well, you didn't have to come here. Well, you should speak English. These are the things that people are saying in these trainings, and you have to take it, right? And then come back tomorrow and do the same work again. So that's coming up at the end of the month. Will be our first monthly support group meeting, and that will all be virtual in Zoom or one of the other platforms I have access to.
Excellent.
Yeah,
great to know. So with that, it's
time to say goodbye. We need like a song,
like a theme song.
MICK. Yes. All right. So we always give you guys a list of resources, and I want to make sure that we do that again today. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, please head over to your nearest emergency room or dial 911. We want to make sure that you're taking care of your medical needs. Still call your doctors. Make sure you're making those appointments. Virtual visits are still a thing. Take advantage of them while we have them. Hopefully, they will not go away. They will stay. But 911 in case of emergency. If you are looking for resources, you don't know who to call, you don't know where to go. If you dial 211 on your phone, or if you go to 211 in your browser, it'll pull up your local United Way 211 hub, and you can give them a couple keywords or tell them what you're looking for, and they'll be able to give you the information for those resources in your area. You can also do it for someone out of your area. If you are a caregiver and, someone lives not, where you are from, you can do a zip code city search as well. I'll stop there.
And if you're looking for general mental health related resources in West New York, you can go to the Mental Health Advocates of West New York at 886-1242 or mhawny.org. If you are in crisis and you are thinking of ending your life, please call Crisis Services of Erie County at 834-3131, Niagara County 285-3515, or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-TALK, or text HELP to 741-741.
This has been the fastest half hour I think that we've had.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You're terrific too. Until the next time, I'm Kelly Marie Wolford, principal of Front Seat Life LLC, and
I'm Carl Shallowhorn, president founder of Shallowhorn Consulting LLC.
And we are Real Talk with Kelly and Carl. We will see you next week. God willing, all things considered, if we're
inshallah
both, yes, if we are both well and ready to take on this virtual world. So until next week, all be the light.
Be well.